Most creatives don't fail because of talent, they fail because they never make the shift from dreamer to professional. And Teri's story shows exactly what that shift looks like and why it changes everything. There's a moment in a lot of creatives' careers when they realize that the dream isn't enough anymore. You can't just want to be an artist. You have to become the kind of person who builds a career. And most people never cross that line.
It kind of hit me. Oh my gosh. I just rode across the United States on a tandem bicycle. Me, a woman who hadn't been on a bicycle in 40 years when I met Bruce. If I can do that, I can do anything I put my mind to. It's a matter of what do I want.
That moment wasn't about the bicycle, it was about identity. She stopped seeing herself as someone who hoped things would work out and started seeing herself as someone who makes things happen. That shift is the foundation of every successful creative business.
And the answer was, I want to be an author. And 14 months later, my first novel came out. And so since then, that was in January of 22, and since then, I now have 4 novels, a memoir, a children's book, and I have a short story in 3 different anthologies. And I have a podcast, and I've done a TEDx talk, and just all the things. And it's just really crazy how I went from thinking when I got out of the abusive relationship, thinking kind of my life was over, to realizing that it had just started.
And here's the part most creatives miss. Once your identity shifts, your behavior shifts. And once your behavior shifts, your systems change. That's when your career stops being accidental and starts being intentional.
It's hard. It's like pulling teeth because I know more than 500 people have read my book. I know it because I know how many books have sold, and it's like, why aren't you reviewing? And you ask people and they say, sure, I'll review it, and then they don't. And it's not, I don't think it's that people intend not to do it. It's that it is not top of mind for them. They read your book, they liked your book, they told you they liked your book, that's the end of the story, on they go with their life, and they don't understand how valuable it is. So in order to get reviews, you almost have to go back a notch. And that's, do you have a way of talking with the people who are reading your book?
This is where Teri separates herself from 90% of authors. She doesn't wait for readers. She builds a pipeline that brings readers to her.
And I have a newsletter, and I put out my newsletter twice a month. It goes out twice a month, every month, and has for 3 years now. And I have 1,400 people on my newsletter. And at least once every 3 or 4 newsletters, I put a PS, hey, if you haven't reviewed my book, now would be a good time. And I give the link so it makes it super easy for someone just to click it and review it. I actually have given quick little excerpts in my newsletter about how to do a review. You know, it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be, that's the other thing. I think people think that it has to be like an editorial review, like a big deal. And it's like, no, you can say, good book, liked it.
Hey, before we get too far along here, I need to just put in a little plug for Teri M. Brown's latest book. Now, I'm a heterosexual man who should have zero natural reason to read a book about a woman going through menopause. None. But listen, I read Peg Unhinged in 2 days. 2! Because this book, it's fun, it's chaos, it is Peg absolutely coming unhinged in the most entertaining way possible. Her life is falling apart. Menopause, family drama, bad decisions catching up, and somehow you're laughing, cringing, and rooting for her all at the same time. And here's the thing, Teri has this freakish ability to drop you straight into someone else's shoes, flaws, mess, heartbreak and all, and make you actually care. The second I finished reading it, I told my wife, you have to read this. Now I'm telling you, if you're wondering whether this book is worth a few bucks, go for it. I read a lot of books in the last year, and I don't hand out praise this lightly. Peg Unhinged is hilarious, heartfelt, and absolutely worth your time. Teri M. Brown, you did it again.
Like, I don't need any more than that. And really, once you've had, 25 or so that are written, at that point, just having the star review is enough. You know, so you can have, like, of that 511, I don't have 511 where people wrote things out. A lot of those are just stars. And so So that's another thing, is you explain, this is all I need from you. I don't need big fancy words, but it's because I've got people that I'm in contact with, and I can keep reminding them and keep reminding them and keep reminding them. That's part of it.
This is the part creatives underestimate. When readers feel involved, they become emotionally invested, and emotional investment is what turns casual readers into lifelong fans.
That is part of it. The other part is that as you get more reviews, then Amazon puts your book in front of more people, and then when they purchase the book, you have a higher chance of more reviews. So after a while, and I'm told that the magic number is 1,000, and I've not reached it yet, so I don't know if that's true, but I'm told that at 1,000, the book almost sells itself and continues to generate reviews because it's got enough now that the algorithms picked the book up. But I don't know how to get it to, you figured Daughters of Green Mountain Gap has been out for 2 years, and it's taken me 2 years to get 511 reviews, so it's not fast.
Right.
It's not a fast thing.
But here's a twist. Teri doesn't just build an online audience. She does something most modern creatives avoid. She shows up in person.
Right. So one of the things is that I am a firm believer in put myself out there. So I get on every podcast that I can be on. And that doesn't necessarily get me reviews, but it gets my name out into the world so people start hearing about me.
Right.
I contact every local venue, libraries, coffee shops, and hey, I would love to come in and be the author. I would love to come in and have a Meet the Author event. And then I stand in front of my group, sometimes of 3, sometimes of 30, and I always have a list that they can sign up for my newsletter. Now I've captured them. They're on my newsletter. Now I can keep talking to them.
If 3 people show up, that's not a failure. That's 3 humans who will remember you forever. Most creatives chase crowds and ignore the individuals who actually build their career.
So that's one way. Whenever I am in a public situation with someone, with a group, I always remind them, reviews, reviews, reviews. I need reviews. Could you do a review right now? How many of you think you could open up your smartphone and do a review for me right now? Those kinds of things. And it's amazing how many people will say, oh, well, yeah, I could do that, right? Because you're capturing them right now.
Right.
I think the way I find my readers really is get in front of people. When I am standing in front of someone and talking to them about my book, I almost always sell it. On a podcast, it's hard to know. So in person, call the local libraries, call the coffee shops. Most places like to have events because it brings people in. So if you do it at a coffee shop and everybody that comes in to listen to you grabs a coffee, it didn't hurt the coffee shop any. And they kind of like having the crowd. And so you just have to go and say, hey, I'm Teri Brown. I'm a local author. I would love to do a Meet the Author here at this coffee shop. Is there any way that we might be able to work that out? And you'd be surprised at the number of people who will say, oh, yeah, I would love that.
So I've done the book signings before, and I've got more going on, but when you go into a coffee shop or a library and you want to do one of these Meet the Author events, say you don't have many people on a mailing list or anything that can come, maybe you could invite everybody on your Facebook page to come, and maybe none of them live near you, and so you don't know that you're going to get a single person there. How do you actually get people to show up? Or is it just having that event and trusting that people will drive by and see a little notice saying, hey, we've got a Meet the Author event here. We don't know who it is, but come join us.
Well, so if you're doing it at a library, most libraries have a mailing list and they'll send out to their people. So if you're part of the Friends of the Library or whatever it is, you'll get the little newsletter and it'll say, hey, look, these 3 authors over the next 2.5 months are going to be coming on this date, and this date. So that's some of it. If you're at a coffee shop, they usually put up something on their front door as people are coming in and out. They see it, that kind of thing. I never worry about how many people show up. If there's only 3 people, that's 3 people that did not know me before.
Right.
I have a very different attitude than a lot of people. And that's the idea of one person. I'll stop and talk to one person. It's worth it to me because that's one person that didn't know me when we got started and now they do. So I don't mind if friends and family come to my events, but I want to save seats for people who've never heard of me before. And so the other thing I'll do is I'm on Facebook, and you can go and find all of these little local groups, that are local to your area, Friends of Calabash, that kind of thing, right? And I'll then create a little flyer poster and put it out on all of the local events.
Uh-huh.
And say, hey, I'm going to be at the such and so coffee shop on this date from this time to this time. And I put it out, and then I put it out a few days before. So I do it at least twice. So that's more things that it's out there. And of those, maybe you only get 5 or 6 people, but that's 5 or 6 people, and it didn't cost you cash. It cost you a little time, but it didn't cost you cash.
And once she had a real audience, real engagement, and real reviews, that's when she finally added fuel to the fire.
I did the personal stuff exclusively up until July. And in July, I decided I was going to try some Facebook ads.
Uh-huh.
I have a guy that lives not too far from me who's very successful as an author in terms of the sheer number of books that he sells. And he swears by Facebook ads. So I essentially played copycat, looked at what he was doing, followed what he was doing. I'll gladly, by the way, talk to anyone who wants to talk to me about how I did what I did. And I put it only on Daughters of Green Mountain Gap. And in July, I had 203 reviews. And now it is March, and I have 511 reviews.
And do you attribute that mostly to that?
Mm-hmm, because my book has started selling a lot more. I was getting really, really, really tiny quarterly royalties from Amazon. Tiny, very tiny, like hardly worth talking about tiny. And yes, I'm paying for advertising, but I am making 3 times what I'm paying. So it's worth it to me.
That's interesting. I'd almost love to just do a show just on how you're doing that.
Yeah.
But
I'd gladly talk with you about now. Facebook changes things every so often.
Right.
But generally speaking, I haven't really touched my ads. So they've been running since July, and I went from how you can look and you can see where your book is in the rank.
Right.
Right. And I went. And you can go onto the Author Central, and you can pull up the graph, and you can see the last year of sales and see what the book's doing, right? Well, I went in, and you can see pre-July, and then whoop, it goes way up here, and it stays nice and tight. So it's working. It's definitely selling, and I know just based on the royalties that I'm getting that I've got a lot more readers. I'm selling about 2 books a day.
I would love to pick your brain more on this because I've tried the Facebook ads before and I've gotten a lot of engagement through them, but very few actual sales off of it. So
now,
there's got to be a couple of tips and tricks on that.
Maybe, but someone did tell me, and I can't verify this, that if you don't have at least 100 reviews, that the Facebook ads don't work well.
Ads don't fix a broken foundation. They might amplify what you already built, but that might be good or bad.
And that may be true. I don't know, because when I started it, I already had 200 reviews. So I can't talk to that because I don't know if that's true or not.
But that might be something worth considering then.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
But when I do Facebook ads, Facebook wants you to put your ad everywhere. They want it out on Instagram, and they want it out on Threads, and they want it out in the sides, and I do one place. I don't do Instagram. I don't do anything else. Just Facebook, and just within the regular, where you're scrolling and reading your friends' posts.
Right.
That's the only place I put it, because this guy that I talked with, it's the only place that he puts it. He said people don't buy on Instagram, and that is pretty true. If you're scrolling on Instagram, you can't click through to the links, right? They don't let you do that. People do not buy there. They only really buy on Facebook. So I only have it on Facebook, and I only have it just I don't even know what they call that, but just in that one spot. And all the other things I unclick. And as you're doing that, it's saying, are you sure? Are you sure? Don't you want it everywhere else? And it's like, nope, I'm not paying to have it everywhere else.
This is what the professional mindset looks like. You don't gamble, you don't hope, you build a system that works, and then you scale it. The difference between a dreamer and a professional isn't talent, it's identity. Dreamers wait, professionals build. Dreamers hope someone discovers them. Professionals create systems that make discovery inevitable. Hey everyone, as is often the case, this was only a small portion of our entire interview. Please head on over to the podcast to catch the entire discussion, and don't forget to check out her latest book, Peg Unhinged. And as we made evidently clear, don't forget to review it if you liked it, both her books and mine if you've read them. And if you haven't, pick them up. I'll see you next time.